So I'm back. All your guys' kind comments and support on my first devlog has really inspired me and actually really motivated me while I was away in Japan to code and do some dev whilst on my journey, where it created a simple prototype-worthy combat system. But it's been 3 weeks since I've seen you guys, so where did we leave off? After implementing a portal into my world, I was shocked to see that 2 maniacal mushrooms had infiltrated my project. So it was up to me to put a stop to them. Opening up my laptop on the Shinkansen, I got started to quell the problem. But there was just one thing. Besides writing down the design in my GDD, I didn't know how I wanted the player's movement to feel, leaving me absolutely powerless to the mushroom's threats.
Die!
So I decided that it was high time to go out into the field and gather some real-life research for what a true brave warrior looks like. Watching the Sumo Wrestling World Championships was absolutely epic, and if you ever go to Japan while it's on, I highly recommend going to it. Not only being an incredible spectacle and experience to watch, I learned a lot from studying their movements, being strong, yet also balanced and fluid, which I knew immediately I wanted to incorporate into my project. Looking at what resources were available to me in Unreal to enhance the default playable character, this led me to find the motion matching animation system. Migrating that into my project, I could immediately see the results. And even now, had this cool orange man to work with, whose proportions I would say are slightly closer to my intended art style. So that was another bonus. Setting this up into the project was pretty easy once you knew the proper plugins to import to your project. So I'll leave some helpful tools in the description below for any of you guys that want to do it as well. But our goal here was still combat. To yeet these little mushrooms out of my project for good. But what is combat without good, proper attack animations? Now, total disclaimer, the work I'm doing on the project currently is to get myself a workable prototype that I can use as a proof of concepts for my ideas. So, learning from past experience making prototypes, I'm trying not to spend too much time worrying about the fine details, which can actually be a really big trap when developing a prototype.
It's a trap!
So, for now, I found some animations which I already had at my disposal within an Unreal package that I already had in my library, to use as a placeholder for now. Taking full advantage of the hotel lounge in Kyoto, I took the time to learn about Unreal's animation systems, allowing me to get an animation playing when pressing the left mouse button. But the interaction here felt a bit disjointed and led to some obvious issues with just a basic implementation.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Thinking of my favorite games, I picked up Zelda to use as a reference, noting down what I liked about it. One thing standing out to me being the chaining and attack combos. So after getting some more animations set up, I was able to implement a very arbitrary version of this. If the player pressed the left mouse button in quick succession, a new animation montage would play depending on the current count in the combo, then resetting when we returned back to the start. There was an obvious problem, however, where the next attack wouldn't be able to start until the animation had fully finished, causing for some janky interactions. I could have fixed this by just using a simple delay, but instead I found a more robust and flexible method for solving this problem, to use an interface which can listen for animation events directly set up in the animation montage's timeline for the blueprints then to listen to. This means that in the future you can base the event on the animation timing rather than just an arbitrary value. It's not so bad when you're the sole person working on a project or even a feature, but things like this are really handy and good to keep in the habit from, as they really benefit when you work in a team, making it easier for, say, the animators, who usually have a keener artistic eye than us technical folks, can refine where the animation focal point has ended and visually will look okay to be interrupted. Or for designers who would much rather totally avoid trawling through the blueprint spaghetti just to make their simple changes.
Somebody touch my spaghetti!
After some time implementing this solution, this made for a much better animation set that felt somewhat okay, but as I mentioned earlier, perfect for a proof of concept, with room to build up on more in the future. Now, I know what you're thinking, Gabriella, the character is just aimlessly swinging at nothing. Well, say hello to my little friend, the Jaffalion!
Wow.
If you watched my first devlog, you will have seen that Codename Flawballs is going to be heavily inspired from Australian flowers, and so the setting, environment, and characters of my game should also be highly inspired by this theme, to immerse the player in my world. Now, I'll get more to the main protagonist of my game in a later video.
Alright then, keep your secrets.
But one thing for me was that the usual sword and shield combo was just not right for this game. So I ideated a weapon that was both unique and would fit with the Australian theme. Which, yeah, might be why I landed on a javelin and not, say, a boomerang. But mostly just because jaffles are freaking delicious. At this point, I was back in the land of Oz. So after getting over my jet lag, I went straight to Kmart to procure myself a jaffle maker, fueling me to get back into developing and doing what no programmer should be allowed to do. See if I could find an existing model of a javelin, but for some reason these were really hard to come by, which I don't really understand because who doesn't own a javelin? So I braved the scary realm of 3D modeling and made one of my own. With this now in the project, and after slapping on a random material to it, I gave my playable character what they had been promised: their defense against the mushrooms. Going into the player's skeleton, I attached a socket to the hand which they would be attacking with. And then attaching it to the right hand. And after some rotation fixes and scaling refinements so that the javelin didn't clip with the player's body, I got to practicing for the fight of the season. And I really emphasize simple, prototype-worthy combat system. It was time to brave my darkest fears and the monsters which had been keeping me up for night for weeks. So, there you have it. The mushrooms have been banished from my project. Now, I know that this isn't heaps of progress on the project, but I wanted to keep you guys up to date with how I'm going and how Codename Flawballs is actually progressing. And more importantly, let you know that indie dev has not beaten me yet. So let me know if you like these videos or whether or not it'd be worth me waiting until I have a bit more content to show you. Your feedback means a lot. What will be in the next video though? Who knows? Will I finally reveal the player character? Will we actually get to see a floorball walking around in the game? Stay tuned to find out.